Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chunk Chat. Today I've got SailingChunk, otherwise known as BrewScape, with me.
Hi, I'm Mr. BrewScape or BrewScape, whichever you prefer. My name is actually Justin, so I've mentioned that in a couple of my videos, not something I'm trying to hide. And I have the account known as SailingChunk.
For anyone who has not seen your series, why are you SailingChunk? And since sailing isn't out already, how does that affect your account?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I sort of started the whole concept of me wanting to do an extreme OneChunk Ironman just because so many other people did it and it looked so fun. And particularly, I watched Josh's video on why OneChunk Chat exists. And I'm sure for those listening, Tom will link it up here on the top right. But it's a great video. It's like a video essay style format where he says chunk accounts are not about the grinds. And he says you basically get a very specific list of tasks that you can do, and because of that, it sort of simplifies the game a lot. Myself, I have a sort of mid-game Ironman at the moment, and it's very forget what I would want to say here. It's very overwhelming to have so many options to do so many different upgrades that could really streamline the rest of your account. Um, and not know which one to do first or try to balance between which upgrades you should make or anything like that. And I thought someone like myself, being a completionist at heart, if I were to get into chunking, then I would have a set list of things to do. And I was like, all right, let's just try it. So I started looking for different places where I would want to be able to start. I saw some people had started in Port Sarim, and I saw some of their videos, and I was thinking for at least personal channel growth and the potential of like being a big name content creator, which it's like trying to get into the big leagues and the majors. It's not something that I necessarily suspect is going to happen, but if there was a possibility of something like that happening, maybe capitalizing on this big update that we all know is going to be happening in Old School Runescape in the year or years to come, is let's sort of center the concept around something like sailing. And because of that, Port Sarim and sailing sort of made sense. They've mentioned that Port Sarim is going to be the home of sailing. So I was like, well, let's just make that our starting chunk. And as I started getting into what I was going to do with the account creation, one of the biggest things that I think sets my OneChunk account apart is that I'm going to be rolling water adjacent chunks. Even if it's like there's no land or no content or anything that I could do, I'm just going to unlock the water, which sounds really silly now, but we've seen these demos of the boats and stuff being able to move from one chunk to another, or like from one place to another across the water. And all the rest of these OneChunk accounts, no offense, but you're going to be screwed when sailing comes out. So I'm really looking forward to just like having so much water accessible and then seeing what sailing is going to be like on a OneChunk account. I think it's a very unique concept.
Yeah, definitely. I for one am very excited for sailing. I've always been on the sailing bandwagon since I think it was teased in like RS2 a long time ago. And yeah, when they were pitching a new skill, I honestly could have lived without a new skill, but if it had to be a new skill, I'm glad that it's going to be sailing, to be honest. I think it has the most potential, at least, to be a really quality skill. Doesn't really affect PvM much. It's basically just like a straight skill on its own that's gonna hopefully unlock a lot of cool areas and a lot of cool mechanics, quest lines, stuff like that. But yeah, it's very interesting to see you rolling water. Personally, I don't know what's gonna happen for chunk rolling when sailing comes out. I feel like they might be expanding the sea a lot more.
Yeah.
Possibly like moving Zaya a bit further so that there's stuff in between. Like some islands are very close to other pieces of land that maybe they'll change up a little bit. Who knows? But yeah, it's definitely interesting to roll the sea, and hopefully when Sailing comes out, you'll have like a kickstart for that with some water chunks that you can get started in. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
at
like
least
the concept.
theoretically.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty
It's
cool.
funny. I had a conversation with SourceChunk, the man we all know and love, creator of
Hmm.
Chunk Picker V2. And I was like, hey, this is my concept. He's like, wow, didn't think of that. And then he's like, man, I feel like I'm not going to do anything on this just yet because there's so much that we don't know about sailing. And he's like, I'm just going to, burn that bridge when we get to it. So, really looking forward to seeing how it's going to turn out. And yeah, I agree. It's going to be pretty interesting. I wouldn't even be surprised if some of these random encounters like throw you into an instance as you like randomly get close to the chunk or something like that, which would be
Hmm.
extremely difficult to figure out on a chunk account. But
Yeah,
and
good luck
it's
to
an interesting thought.
source on that one for sure.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Good luck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he said at
you've
one
been.
point that he might have like even unlocked all water like when Sailing was unlocked or something. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna be how it's done. But I'll have to get more insight from him on what he thinks will happen with the chunk map and picking chunks. Hopefully,
Yeah,
we might know a bit more information about um, what the layout, what the new map's going to look like when Sailing comes out as well, before it actually comes into the game, and then we're all thrown off guard, I'm sure.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if SourceChunk himself has a good connection with like the JMods or anything like that, but I think that he fuels a lot of content. So if there was ever a insider knowledge that could be had, he could kind of get a good bit of info and prep the chunk picker for that. I think that would be fantastic if he could pull that off.
Yeah, definitely saw when like Barlamore came out. A lot of
Right.
things were like getting caught up with the chunk picker. I'm pretty
Yeah.
quick to get him some credit, but still, like it's got to be tough to do that. And for all the people starting in like Varlamore when it came out, they had to kind of figure out most of these things on their own, and things were adjusted on the chunk picker as it went on.
Yeah.
So
I know. Mr. Spoon, shout out to my guy. He he really blazed that trail.
mhm.
And he's like, "Oh man, I forgot a task. I need to go back. Oh, forgot a task. Need to go back. Oh, look, I found a new thing."
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, it
very
kind of makes it
interesting.
more exciting too, with the theory crafting, not knowing what's out there already. I mean, to figure it out
Yeah,
for yourself. I like that sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It takes the whole thing that I said earlier about having a set list of tasks to do. It's like he goes in blind, and then,
Mhm.
well, he was at least. Now the source like blazed through it all, so it's all there. But
Yeah,
just starting there, man, that'd be a little intense.
for sure would be. Yeah.
It's
So,
funny you mentioned your team sailing ever since the
uh-huh.
start, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I
was
know a lot of
actually
people think differently, but yeah, it's always been in my mind as being a really cool potential skill. So, yeah. How about you?
little insider knowledge. SailingChunk himself wasn't exactly sold on the concept of sailing.
Really?
I was actually team shamanism.
Hmm.
Yeah, I totally thought taming could just be like an addition to hunter, which would be fantastic. But shamanism, for me at least, had seems like the most unique potential that made it more old school. But I mean, sailing from a concept of like you only have a limited amount of area to be able to create stuff within this map, like the water is completely unused. So let's do something with it. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely will kind of make the map like very useful, as in like every single piece of water will probably have something to do in it, and whether it's like fishing something or
Yeah.
maybe finding some treasure, or exploring a shipwreck or something. Every little piece of the land would be usable. I think they're gonna change like the UI of the water and kind of make it look better too. So that'll
Yeah.
be exciting. Just looks like carpet. A lot of people say it looks like carpet right now in the water.
I've not heard that one before, but that's pretty accurate, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah, like an ugly blue carpet. I feel like my grandmother had some carpet like that when I was growing up.
Yikes.
But
A lot
uh,
could be said about old school style.
for sure, my thoughts on shamanism was it was like a cool concept, but I felt like it'd be like training herb lore. It would just be like finding items and putting them together. And I didn't really like how it affect PvM. Like for it to be useful and for people to want to do this, it would have to have some pretty good effects in PvM. And
Yeah.
you know, think about like thralls, how much thralls affect damage per second. Like adding an extra 1.5 max hits to every single style.
Yeah.
Every single hit that you do, which is kind of wild if you think about. And I think shamanism would give like similar buffs. I remember like RS3 had like these things that you'd equip, and you'd have like like an hour a day you could use like this specific buff that might like heal you or um
Right.
yeah, stuff like that. And or maybe do a little bit more damage in certain ways, and I feel like it kind of makes
Yeah.
things
The
more
auras, I think
complex.
they were called.
Yeah, I think yeah, auras does that. And then I think shamanism they wanted to like make it into invention a little bit too, where you'd have to break
Yeah.
down certain equipment and stuff, and every single equipment would get like different stats if it was like imbued from shamanism or something, and that would really make everything very complex. The whole like training it was fine, but that part of it
Yeah.
is what made me worried. And then taming kind of seemed like summoning, where it would affect
Mhm.
PvM again. Like, what's the point of having like a animal to follow you around if it doesn't like help you out at all?
Right.
Get like pack yaks again, and I'm sure like skilling ones, and then obviously some would help you out with um, PvM. But again, it'd be like another thrall, but probably more powerful. And then you have like an animal with you, and you have a thrall, and there's like all these things like clogging up your screen. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of
Yep.
what didn't sell
Don't
me on
forget
that.
that's following you.
Oh, what following me? Oh, with a
Like if you
pet.
had
Yeah,
a pet. Yeah.
yeah.
A pet, a
Imagine
thrall, and then
pet
a
thrall and
tamed
like a
beast.
tamed beast. Yeah, it'd be
Yikes.
weird. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what. It would be cool to be kind of a thing to do with Hunter. Maybe you can just like collect different rare species or something and make them pets or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I
But
think the good pieces of it totally would fit into Hunter. Like, I think a big part of the community was like, why is this even being presented as a brand new thing? And as far as shamanism goes, those were some of my reservations on that. I think the things you mentioned, the difficulty in like the gathering, it's very much like Herblore esque, which Herblore, let's not design the game for Iron Man, but make it Iron Man friendly at least. Herblore is not that Iron Man friendly. That's one of the biggest things that everybody knows. And having another skill like that definitely could be detrimental to Iron Man life cycle or longevity even of accounts. And then the other part is like the continuous min-maxing of, oh, you have to have this like one thing that you created, made a ritual for, and it lasts for an hour and it's a temporary buff. RuneScape's not like that really. Like, yes, we're getting into sort of like best in slot for very specific scenarios and weaknesses and all that sort of stuff, but it's still not into that extremely minute detail of this is the absolute max that you can do. So you have to like keep up this buff and all that sort of stuff, which that would be too much in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, I agree. But maybe in the future, after Sailing comes out, if it's successful and people want another skill, maybe they can bring back up shamanism
Yeah.
as long as it's
Yeah, they didn't
balanced.
delete those assets for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe there's some other decent ideas for skills floating out there. But honestly, if sailing was the last skill added, I would be fine with that as well. But we'll see,
Yeah.
we'll see. It'll look really clean on the skills tab to have just one extra skill in there. Be a
Right.
nice filled skills tab. We'll see, we'll see. So other than playing your chunk counts, what's kind of what what have you tried in the game? How long have you been playing, sort of thing? You always played like an Ironman. You said that you had an Ironman.
Yeah, so I started playing RuneScape as pretty much all of us have back in maybe like 6th grade, 7th grade, which would be for me about 2006, 2007 area. And, just I consistently heard about the game, talked about the game with some of my friends at school, and then at the time didn't have computers, so we would all like leave school and go to the local library and play together. And um, as most of us didn't know what we were doing back then, I had no clue what I was doing back then. Just make sure that I would avoid the dark wizards by the South Bay Rock. Definitely died to those plenty of times. Too many to admit.
We all have, I'm
But
sure.
yeah, but it's a very, I would say, nostalgic game for me. But this game's so much different nowadays. It's just such a good game as well. So I don't know if you've watched Jimmy's whole series on nostalgia and the back and forth between him and Asmongold, I think his name is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched the one where he was replying to like the first. He's got like a whole thing of they're just going back and forth
Yeah.
now, but yeah, like the
Yeah.
first
They're on the
comeback
second
of
round
Jimmy,
now.
yeah. I watched that
It's very
one.
funny.
Yeah, I don't need to watch like the whole um thing again just from like another lens, but yeah, it's funny. It's good that Jimmy and other creators like get RuneScape out there because it really is a unique game, and I think a lot of people do just associate with nostalgia. If they don't have any nostalgia, they just don't think that there's a reason to play. But yeah, I think that it
Yeah,
really
until they
should.
get into the game.
Yeah, it really should be pushed out there a bit more, and that's something that I want to do too with my content eventually. My content's not really focused on people who don't know the game or don't play the game. Most of my viewers um, have at least some idea of what happens in Chambers of Zarek, which is pretty end game. So
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like eventually I want to, maybe get new players into the game. I really like that. And we're more popular now than I think we've ever been as a game too. So probably
definitely. Yeah.
maybe a better time than ever for new people to start playing. But yeah, we got
Yeah,
like
I don't know if you've noticed, I do the same thing with my content too. I'm very like new player, completely out of the loop friendly with a lot of the things that I explain, especially when I get into the minutiae of like why I'm doing very specific things or why I've opted not to do very specific things. So I think that that's very important for content creation, at least for old school RuneScape in general.
yeah, you did say that you're a fan of Josh, and that's pretty much where he goes. He's very good at explaining things. I think anyone
Yeah,
who didn't play the game would still enjoy his series, and that's his aim. And I think I've tried to do that a little bit more recently than I have before. At least
yeah,
like for people who don't know about Chambers of Zarek, since it is very end game.
yeah.
So,
I've been noticing that in your content. I was gonna say it. Your content's definitely getting more general audience related, which is funny because like you're getting deeper into the Chambers of Zarek grind, which could potentially mean that you're just getting deeper and deeper into the end game. But it's like you're explaining it really well. It seems very balanced.
yeah, I think any content creator should look to do that a lot. I know Settled says that a lot, how he has to
Yeah,
explain certain
absolutely.
things, as if someone had never heard of the game before.
Yeah,
Is pretty difficult, but it's something that he thinks of for like every sentence of all of his videos, and he's 100% the best example for it. So yeah,
absolutely. I think you and You and Frey talked about that in your last
Oh
chat,
yeah,
right?
I think we
Where
talked
he's
about
basically like,
settled for like 15 minutes at least.
yeah, he's maxed out the old school RuneScape community. If you know, if you haven't heard of Settled or you don't watch him right now, then you basically either don't like him or you're living under a rock.
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, he can only expand outwards into general audience,
Hmm.
which is great because, like you said, you know, bring more people into the game. The longer that the game has more players, the longer that we'll all be able to play it, and the more updates that it's going to happen, better the game's going to get. So
Yeah,
it's a great,
he's someone to look at
great
as
concept.
like the ceiling. Like if
Right.
I wanted, how many subscribers could I get in like 5 to 10 years? And you'll look at settled subscriber count. And that's pretty much the max that a RuneScape
Yeah.
only creator could get to right now.
So to answer your original question that you asked, like I said, I've been playing since like 2006, 2007. Um, I think I quote unquote quit RS3. Actually, it just reminded me because this new game update or blog post came out. It was like right around a time when Araxor came out. So it was post Dungeoneering. It was post Divination at some point, and my account there is actually the same account that I've mained. I would say mained. Haven't played it in a long time on Old School RuneScape,
Hmm.
but that's just the main account. I did a lot of stuff there. I sort of figured out, you know, how Old School RuneScape works again. All the new updates. I like got the quest cape. I um, had a 99. I think it was cooking. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. What are my stats here? Yeah, no, farming, and then farming was my first 99. Oddly enough,
Hmm.
because it was actually a big moneymaker for my main. And then I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I don't really want to get into PvM. So at 80 attack, strength, and defense, I was like, well, let's just camp uh, the is it Ammonite crabs,
Hmm.
and I got 99 strength. And then I was like, okay, now I have a trim skill cape. Now I don't know what to do, so I quit. And then I started an Ironman because like now I'm to the point in my account where the most like obvious thing for me to do would be to make as much money as I can to buy the best gear, to then go and make more money, to then buy the best gear. And it's just like this endless loop that didn't exactly bring me joy anymore. So I
Yeah.
was like, the Ironman lifestyle actually already sort of appealed to me in a big way. And I actually have a very interesting topic that I can discuss with you about Ironman as a whole later on if we want.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I just played like a new main Ironman. Actually, this Ironman that I started as a Zaya locked Ironman,
Oh wow.
and there's another YouTube channel that I made where I released a couple of videos on it, and then I basically didn't want it to be Zaya locked anymore, so I stopped uploading. The channel's still out there, and there's like 4 videos or something. It's called Corinder,
Hmm.
and you know, like Great Corend.
Huh.
So yeah, I uploaded a couple of videos there. You can see my mug on there a few years ago when I was a little bit younger,
Hmm.
and I did pretty okay. Got myself 99 fire making as any Iron Man does, especially as a locked one, Winter Todd.
Yeah.
And then I broke myself out of there, and like I said earlier, it's now just like a nice mid game Iron Man. Um, my latest big accomplishment was getting the Voidwaker blade um, from Vedion.
Valerian or Val. Yeah.
Or
Either
yeah, it
one.
was all from Vedion. Um, but after that, I hate the wilderness like just in its entirety. And my next like task that I had was a spider task. So um, my biggest thing that I want to do now is get a dragon pick in order to have the best mining setup. Oddly enough, to train rune crafting because it's my lowest skill, and I know that you know the difference between a rune and a dragon pick at Guardians of the Rift doesn't really make any sense, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. But that's like my goal. I want to get a dragon
Hmm.
pick. So that's how I got the Voidwaker blade because I was doing all this like wilderness stuff to try to get the dragon pick. And now I'm like, well, let's just do Wilderness Slayer. Maybe I can actually do. Maybe I can actually get the dragon pick that way. And I ended up with a spider task. So like now it's all Venenatis that I need to do. And I'm like, I don't want to do that just yet. So then I quit playing it, and then I started the Chunk account pretty much right after that. So that's the recent update.
I see. Yeah, it's all about goal making, and that's really where the chunk count comes into play, like as being a really solid game mode, especially if you aren't very good at making your own goals. It makes the goals for you.
Yeah, it's
So
very
I see that.
straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been pretty good at goal making. Like I played my main for quite a while before I got bored of it, and then I played my Ironman for obviously quite a while before I um got bored of it too. Even though I just still do play it, but um yeah, I mean, goal making's very important in the game. Definitely, the wilderness is a little sketchy, but that Void Waker would be like a really sick item on an Ironman, especially in the mid game too. But yeah,
absolutely.
mid game
Which is
is tough
why I
because there's so
switched.
much to do.
I enjoyed killing Vedion because it was so easy, and like if you did it right, you're out of combat and you can just world hop and stuff. I actually didn't do it with any like alternate account standing outside, so
Yeah.
I had to be like super quick to world hop. Didn't work out for me very well because I died very often. But that's the whole reason why I like, well, let's just switch over to Wilderness Slayer because maybe I'll actually get like a spider or a bear task or something like that, and I can go in instead. If I don't want to continue killing Calvarion or Vodion because I don't really care about the rest of the drops. And if I get another Voidwaker blade and like hit that RNG on Vedion, I'd be super upset. So I'm just gonna go for the dragon pick at another boss.
It's a very cruel grind sometimes having to escape PKs and stuff. I do kind of enjoy escaping, so I like those. At least like the singles variants, it was pretty easy to get away
if you can find a world.
Yeah, if you knew what you're doing. Even like max gears, pretty easy. But yeah, finding worlds crazy difficult there for sure. Agree. But yeah, there's a lot that they need to do with the wilderness. Definitely have talked about it in other podcasts. I think they need to stop having PvPers on PvMers. It's not a good system. It makes a lot of people hate the wilderness. When it could be like a really cool place to go. If you want like risk versus reward stuff, if you're a PvMer. Also like as a PvPer, if you want to get better at PvP, you can actually fight PvPers instead of preying on PvMers. So yeah, I think there's a lot that they need to do there.
Definitely. And that's a really interesting conversation to have because I mean there's a lot of other games where PvP is an entirely opt-in system. And, you know, one could argue, oh, you go into the wilderness, you're opting into PvP. Well, they could build a system around that where like you get, you know, a quarter of the drop rate on bosses if you're not opted into PvP. And like the drop rates that they are right now, I would 100% rather go out a quarter of the drop rate and not have to deal with PKers because I hate the wilderness that much. Like if that was an option in the game, I'd toggle it on right now. So I don't know. I agree. It should be PvPer versus PvPer, not PvPer preying on PvMers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like if they just have a good system like that, then they won't have to do anything stupid with like the drop rates or anything. But there should still be a little bit of risk with the wilderness. But they do need to like not make it so that it's like essential. Like you have to go in the wilderness. Obviously you don't need every pet game, so you can decide not to go for those pets. Or if you're Ironman, like a Void Waker is really good, but there's not many other things that you have to get in the wilderness nowadays, especially since they moved like the D pick out of it.
Yeah, with the D pick going to Calfight Queen and then being able to get the broken D pick from that other place.
I hate that, by the way. I hate the broken variant. It should just be a regular D pick. It costs more to repair it than the price of a D pick right now. Just stupid.
And it's a collection log slot.
Yeah, it's a separate collection log slot.
You're gonna feel obligated to do it. Yeah.
I've done some volcanic mine on my Ironman going for it, and yeah, it's not that fun to be honest.
Right.
Can't lie there.
They're
Uh,
like, let's add this really weird drop that now is an obligation to get for cloggers and not improve the game at all.
that's
That you have to
also a
get it from.
thing too. I don't think any collection log is technically obligated. Nobody's forced to try to go for all collection log slots. That's just
Right.
something you have to want to do everything in the game to get that. And I do complain
Yeah.
about some grinds, but all in all, I do like pretty much every piece of content. That's why I go for collection log slots on my Ironman.
Yeah.
If there
I
was
mean, I
something I
haven't
really
really
didn't like,
heard
I just wouldn't do it.
I haven't really heard of a person who's not into clogging. Like, yeah, it's not a guaranteed sort
Mhm.
of thing, but I just feel like all of us are like that. Oh, number go up, you know?
Yeah. If you're sitting at a boss and you're going for something specific, you'd probably still
Yeah.
get a little bit happy if you get something useless, but it's a collection log slot, 'Cause a
Right.
lot of people, if it's not what they're going for, they're like, hey, yeah, at least I got a collection log slot here and there. Yeah, your first video was very impressive, I gotta say, but now that you've said that you actually had another series, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Definitely helped my first episode that I had another series beforehand. But yeah, what was kind of your motivation on that first episode? And what kind of things did you have to learn with editing uh, to get it to that point?
Yeah. So my other series that we were talking about, it didn't have anything related to editing. I actually was just streaming a lot, and it was just direct clips from my stream without any of the music. So
Mhm.
pretty much no editing style that that was there. It was just very straightforward progress. I actually have another YouTube channel that is related to cars. I'm a big car guy, and I had some experience editing there. Nothing like too crazy. It's really just cutting clips together and maybe adding some background music every once in a while. But I have editing experience a bit. I also learned a bit about editing in college, so
Mm.
I have a good idea there. I have a bit of a design background as well, so it's easy for me to sort of put those sort of graphics together. I actually work in like UI and UX every day, which is user interaction or
Yeah,
user interface, user experience. So it sort of comes naturally to me, but still, the time that it takes to edit something like that, it takes a very long time. And
definitely.
the biggest thing for me, as far as dang, what's the word? Inspiration.
Yeah,
As far as inspiration goes, I sort of take bits and pieces of inspiration from a lot of different big name creators. We talked about Settled and Josh already. Um, Mudkip, Wild Mudkip is another one. Like some of his humor I I sort of sprinkle a little bit of that into there. Um, it's just like these different concepts that I like from different creators and ways that I can portray myself as a creator. Everybody who gets big seems to have their own style, and I wanted to really push that I was going to have this style of great editing, smooth transitions, um, flying things in and out, good graphics, explain things very well. That's the sort of stuff that I feel engages viewers and keeps them watching. So, yeah, I wanted to spend a lot of time doing that. Creating the graphics, it was very important to me to um, spend a lot of time on that, ensure that I was presenting things in the right way, and yeah, it seemed to work out fairly well. My
definitely. Yeah.
my support for the channel and the audience shot up insane amounts that I was just not expecting. I mean, I was hoping for, with the amount of work that you put into videos like that. But the response has just been amazing. So I'm very thankful
Nice.
for all the people watching out there.
How many views on your first video right now?
Let's see. Okay, so first video is up to 41,465 views as of time of recording this.
Not
So
bad.
yeah, of course the drop off is what everybody experiences, but video number two is 16,800 right now.
Yeah, that's inevitable for
Right.
sure. Yeah, but yeah, the first video is very important. It's your shop window. Some people
Yeah.
know that it's their first impression. which we all know is important. So yeah, it's good that it was definitely a good one. And you pretty much keep up the same kind of style, and you definitely have a unique style. Even though you do sense a little bit of bits and pieces from people that you watch, but I think everybody has a little bit of that too. Kind of need that
Yeah, got to
as
borrow
well.
inspiration where you can get it.
Yeah, yeah. And in order to get better, you obviously have to take things that already work that other people have figured out, and then
Exactly.
add your own style to it. Right, so yeah, I wanted to ask you a bit about IRL. What are some things that
Yeah,
you
of
like to
course.
do? What are some of your hobbies?
Yeah, as mentioned, I'm a big car guy. I sort of grew up around cars and going to car shows and drag racing and stuff like that, which is big here in the United States. I know it's big in other places too, but probably particularly big here. Um, my dad is like a lifelong expert mechanic, so I've learned to work on my own cars and all that sort of stuff over the years. And I'd say that's like my biggest passion in life. Like if I could drop everything and just go drag racing for the rest of the life, that's all I would need. You know, I'd be extremely happy doing that. Um,
Sure, it's hard to
Outside
get
of
into
that,
though.
um, yeah, nowadays like things are really expensive. Just parts to upgrade your car and make it a little faster and whatnot is um, it's a little expensive. But like as far as barrier to entry is not that high. You can take any car and take it to the track and run it, you know, press the throttle, go full throttle and go down the drag strip. Like that's super easy. But, you know, to compete or to really have fun with it, I feel like that's where you need some money. And unfortunately, that's not the case for a lot of people. And unfortunately, that's caused a lot of people to go broke.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, I know a lot of people who are like, I can't make ends meet and like pay my bills or anything, or like my kids eating ramen, but I have like a 9 second streetcar or something. So it's a little troublesome in that manner. But um,
Priorities, yeah.
yeah, priorities. Besides that, obviously I play old school RuneScape.
Mhm.
I'm a decent gamer. As far as like skill level goes in old school RuneScape, I'm probably not like the best high tier PvMer or anything by any means. Like I watch some of your videos and I'm like, how would I even ever do stuff like that? But other games I'm really good at. I've always been a gamer. Like I used to play Modern Warfare 2 a ton on the Xbox 360, you know, and that was like my jam back in the day. Um, Played a lot of games on PC lately. Um, I I mentioned I played baseball.
Oh yeah.
I joined a baseball team. I'm an outfielder with them, and that is really good to keep my activity up. I'm I'm
For sure.
approaching 30. I'm going to turn 30 this year, so I need to really keep
Same
up
here.
my athletic ability and flexibility and all that sort of stuff. Um, Baseball's really been fun. I'm on like a very mid-tier team, so things can get extremely competitive in our league.
Oh
So
wow.
that's a lot of fun to get back into that. Um, I'm also on a softball team that plays monthly or weekly on Mondays, and that's also been pretty interesting. It's like there's a little bit of competition there, and like some of the guys on the team are uh, real jerks to people on the other team and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes down to it, it's like a step above a beer league men's softball team. So it's very lax. It's a lot of fun. You hit the ball really far, and there's tons of action the entire time. It's actually a lot more fast paced than baseball.
Oh really?
You can believe that. Yeah, basically, if you don't know in baseball, there's 4 balls and 3 strikes that you can have within a single at bat. 4 balls you walk, 3 strikes you get out.
Yeah.
But um, you come up to bat in men's softball with a 1-1 count, so it speeds things up. Like pretty much every pitch is swung at, and if it's not swung at, then you get only like 3 balls until you get a walk, and even then people do what's called like a courtesy swing. If they get like 3 balls straight and they haven't gotten another strike, then they'll just like swing wildly to get a strike so they can then hit like the next pitch.
Mm.
But That's a little embarrassing when you do that and then immediately strike out, which I have done. Striking out in men's softball league, slow pitch softball league, is probably the worst thing that can happen to you on a Monday night.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Sounds like me if I were to play baseball or softball. My coordination was never good playing baseball.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I was bad at hitting. I was good at fielding and stuff, but yeah,
yeah.
wasn't great at hitting. But
Hitting in baseball is not my strong suit. I'm definitely a lot better at fielding. I'm decent at hitting in softball because the ball's coming in so slow. Um, I'm actually worse at fielding in softball, oddly enough, because I think I'm just so muscle memory used to fielding baseball, and like
yeah,
I'm actually playing both of them at the same time. So it's I had to continuously context switch. Luckily, my
true. Yeah,
defense skills in baseball continue, and I just like choke it every once in a while in softball, but it's fine.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
good to have those hobbies other than RuneScape. You mentioned you did a bit of PvM. What's like the hardest PvM challenge you've done in Old School?
um, that's interesting question. I mean, I've gotten pretty decent at Tombs of a Masket. On my Ironman, I've done two different like 150, 155s. So I've done like a normal raid,
There
normal
you
level
go.
raid. I've not pushed it as far as any of the like extreme invocations in the normal game mode, but I did do like a 300, 350 in leagues when that was out.
Oh
Leagues
yeah.
4.
What build were
So
you for Leagues for?
I was melee.
Me too.
Yeah, I had a I had a buddy who played with me, and he did range. We like chose the same areas and everything, and he did range, and I had melee. And then the whole time we were trying to encourage one of our other buddies to play, and we were like, "You're gonna pick mage. You're gonna play, and you're gonna pick mage." And he ended up picking mage, and he played with us. So it turned out to be a really fun thing. We all picked Zaya as well. So then it was really fun when we all got into the chambers of Zarek and
Yeah.
did a couple runs there. That was also my first introduction into chambers. Um, I've like struggled myself through a raid to get the diary task complete one
Mhm.
time. Well, twice actually before leagues, but never really touched it. So I've learned a lot from like your videos. Um, but yeah, during leagues we did a couple there, and I learned a bit there. So I'm very new into what you would call high level PVMing, um, but I'm interested to like figure out how to do it a little bit better. One of the things I am not too good at is like prayer flicking right now. Like I can't one tick flick
Mm.
consistently. I can't get the timing down for some reason. So I know that that's like a uh, huge thing that I need to work on if I want to
Yeah.
continuously get better.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere. Um, you play with game sounds on? Mm.
I have tried playing with game sounds in order to get better at flicking. I enjoy the more chill aspect of playing without game sounds, if that makes sense. Like I would like watch videos or like listen to music or something like that. So I know it would probably be best if I did turn game
Yeah.
sounds on and
I've
focus
gotta
up a little
say,
bit.
playing with game sounds is overpowered. It's just
Yeah,
really good. Especially for one tick flicking. Um, like for me, it's not even like the timing I had to get down. It's the listening. Like I hear the correct
yeah,
sound and I can get into motion. That's kind of how I learned that. There's also like
yeah.
things in Theater of Blood, like Soda Seg. A lot of people say it's really OP to have your sounds on for that. You can hear like
Mhm.
when the big ball's coming and like the orbs they pass by in like a certain amount of time. So you hear like some if you get hit by an orb, you know how many seconds it's gonna take for that. And then there's like sound cues as far as like tick eating the death ball and Soda Seg too. But
Yeah,
yeah, in general, playing the game with sounds on is pretty overpowered. I will say that.
yeah,
But yeah, you
yeah. When
just
I get to
gotta
that
do
point,
things like
I'll
Inferno.
dedicate myself to it.
Yeah, like Inferno is a big stepping stone where people learn to prayer flick. It's not essential, but it's definitely a lot easier when you can prayer flick. Not
Right.
necessarily like one tick flicking, but at least like lazy flicking, and you can get through
Yeah.
Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a lot of lazy flicking, like during Iron Man Slayer, as you know, you probably have experienced
Mm.
before. Just you need to go kill some blood velds, and you don't want to just sit there with your prayer up the entire time. So lazy flicking, I can get down, still maybe get hit every once out of like 100 hits, which is not bad.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I can. I'd say flicking between prayers, like I'm fine with. But the one tick flicking in particular is probably where I would struggle. If I'm also like one ticking between two different prayers to try to avoid attacks, that's another issue, which I know you have to deal with in the Inferno. But when we get there, I'll hunker down, do all the things that I can, turn the sounds on, turn animation smoothing off. We've had a conversation about this in
Yeah.
the chunk chat before. Get the audio and the visual graphics down to where it's going to be accurate. So
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely helps.
definitely
But
room to improve.
yeah, I wasn't always good at PvM. Honestly, it just takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, and yeah, you gotta start somewhere. So yeah, if anybody wants to get into PvM, always can. You can start anytime, honestly. But yeah,
Would you
push
say
yourself
that's
a little
your
bit.
biggest piece of advice is use game sounds and figure out how to utilize those?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say that's probably the easiest thing you can do is just turn them on. Listen to things for cues. And yeah, watch your computer or watch like the animations a little bit closer too. Always help as well.
Gotcha.
Starting with like Gauntlet and Inferno are probably like the two places you could probably learn PvM the easiest.
Yeah.
They're both like solo things too, so you don't have to like rely on a team, or you won't um you won't kill your team making a mistake or anything. So it's good
All right.
places to start.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think Tombs was a good introductory for me. So it has a lot of the like somewhat similar mechanics that you would find elsewhere, dodging shit, hitting shit.
Yeah.
So I've like figured that stuff out. And then I do have, I think, 2 Corrupt Gauntlet completions so far on my Iron Man.
There you go.
Who and I did this before. I had a bunch of AFK time where I used Nightmare Zone to like level up and max all my melee stats. So I did like all these different gauntlet runs before maxing those,
Mhm.
and it took me a long time to actually get a completion. And all my friends were like, "Man, you have the levels to be able to do this. I don't know why you're not being able to complete it." And I'm like, "Because I'm ass. I'm not good at the game."
Mhm.
And I eventually figured it out and was able to uh, get like 2 kills. So it's looking promising now that I have higher levels if I ever do go back to my Iron Man.
There you
But
go.
the
Yeah.
chunk account's definitely taking up a lot of my time. I'm not too big on playing 2 accounts at once on like on multiple monitors and whatnot. Very casual when it comes to that.
Yeah, for a lot of things, I don't like playing two accounts at once, but um, in general, I do. Like, if there's a specific grind where I have to click a lot, but like it's not too engaging, I like to have a second account at least doing something, even if it's just AFK. It's kind of nice to get like progress done on two accounts at once too, but yeah,
Yeah,
I get
it definitely
the
would be.
immersion of one account. It's a lot better, a lot more chill too. You're just hanging out.
Yeah, and I have to like fight myself on that sort of temptation because I'm a lot more interested in keeping my Iron Man, obviously, and making it better and leveling it up and all that sort of stuff. And I want to max it eventually, so it would totally make more
Mm,
sense, especially while I'm doing all this stuff on the chunk account. Just go do some AFK grinds on it and
true.
get those levels up. But I don't know. I'm fighting the urge, and it's not a hard fight. So
Yeah, it's good to have like an account to practice and stuff for chunk count as well.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it could take a while for you to get to like some actual PVM grind, but in
Yeah.
general, just trying a
Well,
different account, save supplies. I know a lot of people like to experience things for the first time, and that does work for content creation in some instances too. I know Spoon's like that as well. Wants to
Right.
just try on his own and doesn't care if he wastes supplies to figure it out, I guess. But what
Yeah.
uh
That's
what kind of grinds are you threading that are close to your jump count right now?
yeah. I am not really looking forward to the 99 smithing that I'll have to do eventually, just because it's going to be, even if I get a furnace and I get like a closer anvil and all that sort of stuff, it's just going to be like 99 mining again. Because I
Mm.
think just looking at what I have in supplies from my 99 mining grind that I did at Motherlode Mine, I have only like 88 smithing banked if I were to smelt all the bars and use all the bars on an anvil. And that's not to mention, that is if I had all the coal to make all the bars from all the ore. So
Yeah.
I'm at a deficit of like over 100k coal right now. And that's not something that's just easily able to be come by like with my chunks. You know, if I had a boss that I could kill that dropped coal, then that would be totally different. But I don't. So it's like mining
Mm.
everything, and then I
Yeah.
have to make everything. So 99 smithing in its
Mm.
entirety is going to be very, very long. I wouldn't be surprised if I would end up at like 3 times 99. What would that be? Level like, I don't know, 100 and 109 or something like that.
Be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So
The strut fixing that scales with your smithing level, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah.
It might be worth it to
Yeah.
like go until you're out of ore and then do struts because I mean, even if you don't like doing it, it's probably worth the
Yeah.
time save. And then
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, doing it at higher levels will impact it. You won't have to do as many anyway.
Right.
If you do it at higher levels.
Yeah. The only thing bad about that is, of course, that you have the logout timer that you have to deal with. I actually tried before I rolled the current chunk that I'm in, which I will not disclose because I have not released the video. You probably know. You've probably seen a collection log stuff pop up. But I I tried going there just to get another level. Like I was trying to go from
Mm.
63 to 64, and I only got like 2/3 of the way through level 63 before I hit a logout timer that literally locked me out of the game for 3 hours. Like I continuously came back and tried logging back in, and it was like, nah.
Really?
And
Yeah. I haven't
yeah,
hit
it
anything
was.
like that. I mean, if anything, if it'll kick me out and then like a minute later I can log in. I haven't hit that.
Yeah, it didn't like what I was doing for some reason, and
Bot
once
activity,
I was
suspicious.
right, yeah, it's like, oh, this guy is 99 mining and hasn't trained agility. What's going on? Um, but yeah, I mean, I once I was even able to log in, I got like another 15 minutes, and then I got hit again, and then I was like done for the day. It's like, geez, what? So it must like keep track of how many world hops you've done on a particular day instead of just like one session, is what I'm thinking. I don't know how it
Mm.
works, but if I could figure out how to optimize that, or make sure that I'm hitting some smithing training at least every day until I hit the logout timer and then going and doing something else, then that might be beneficial. Oh, excuse me. That might be beneficial.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to go about it. Like, I do a lot of logouts with my fletch and grind, so but every now and then I'm in the world for like at least 3 minutes before I log out again. So I think that keeps me from
Yeah,
hitting the logout timer more.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but
Those
yeah,
struts are, you can get really unlucky and hit like 10 worlds in a row that don't have a single broken strut, and you're like, all right, well, we're just going to keep on hopping,
mhm,
and that extremely lowers your amount of time. So I mean, like right now, even at level 63 or something like that, I'm getting like 29k XP an hour. So it's really, in terms of extreme OneChunk accounts, it's not a bad method.
yeah,
The issue is really the logout timer.
yeah, it'd be okay to do if you had something else to pivot to if you did hit that logout timer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
for
yeah, I would
sure.
probably wait until you've gotten through like all your ore and stuff before going to do it so that you have like the most XP per fix as well.
Yeah. I think I have at least 80 in ore with coal like currently. So that shouldn't be too bad, and then that would give me a good jump start to get to the rest.
Yeah.
But
I saw you do like
besides
you
smithing,
did like a poll
right?
in your last video, right? About or
It's kind of a
you
poll,
asked your
yeah. Kind of like
audience, but
lackluster, yeah.
yeah, whether unlocking the cape would immediately make you go to 99 no matter what, or if you had
Yeah.
to unlock a furnace to get it. Yeah. What was the outcome of that, or what was the general consensus? Like your
Yeah.
comments.
Well, in that video, I sort of explained that, these are the reasons why I'm not going to do it. I'm close to the 99 chunk anyway, and uh, in that video itself, I had different responses where they were like, "Yeah, wait for the cape," or "Wait for a furnace," and then a lot of people were like, "You probably just need to wait for a cape and a furnace." So I'm like, okay, I actually had a lot of support here. I figured as a content creator on a restricted game mode, if you unrestrict yourself, then you're probably going to anger your audience. But they mostly seemed really supportive, and they're like, we love your channel, we love the editing style that you're doing. It's very clearly potentially going to break you, and it's not going to be fun to watch. It's going to extend the amount of time in between videos. So, like, just don't do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, how logical of a community we must have in order to have responses like that to YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Yeah, I feel like most people are pretty understanding. There's only just like a few loud people that if
Yeah.
they don't like something, they definitely say something. But yeah, in general, most people are pretty chill when it comes
I was
to
actually
editing.
I was surprised at like the defense that some of my comments went on too. Like they would hunt for these people in the comments who said, "No, you're like take the extreme off your account title if you're gonna do that," and they'd be like, "All right, you're ridiculous," and like there's this whole comment thread only following somebody who's now downvoted a bunch because they said this thing that was like really dumb.
Hmm.
So I was extremely impressed, and I thank my audience for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think as long as you just state what your stance is on it, and maybe if there's a way to solidify it in your rules that would stop like a lot
Yeah,
of exceptions in the future.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
um
My next video, I think I've already even recorded what my move is, so
yeah, I
you'll be
think
on the lookout for that.
you can set your chunk picker to be like no superheat do, which takes away that grind. Um,
Right. Yeah, and I don't know
and
if you
some other
saw
things.
in Josh's recent video, but he worked with SourceChunk to add like a meme grind limiter as
True, yeah.
well. So I kind of already specified my stance, but I might, because I haven't released anything, I might change it to use that meme grind limiter thing instead.
Yeah, if it works out better with that, that could be cool, and you
Yeah.
can show your audience what it's about.
But
Yeah,
besides the
cool.
smithing grind, the other thing that I'm sort of dreading is getting the giant mole pet. I need West Valador and I need a light source. So it's not like immediate, but it is a potential in the future, obviously.
Watching Limpwort
But
doing that didn't look fun, but there are like lots of save
no,
spots there, I guess. And I mean, if you had your alt with the diary done, he
yeah,
also used his alt. Um,
right. Yeah, I would totally do that for sure. The real reason why I'm dreading it is because I went to Giant Mole for the medium combat achievements on my Ironman, and I finished the combat achievements. I think it's like 25 kills that you need or something like
hmm.
that. And on KC 20, I got the mole pet. So I'm me as a person. I'm due to go 5,980 for my second pet. So I can't imagine doing that on an account like I currently have that doesn't have the gear that I have, or well, has the gear that I lack, I guess.
I think
So
Limpwort went like over double for that pat.
yeah, he was 7,400 or something like that.
The amount of bolts
Something
he had to make
insane.
too. I think he was making
Right.
mostly like the poison bolts.
Yeah.
Um, and he had like sold off most of his gems and
Yeah.
ores and stuff beforehand, and I think he regretted that a lot. You never know what kind of grind you're gonna get stuck into.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
I could
content
see that
viewers.
potentially being another place where I like add exceptions or something like that, because I'm trying to keep the account growth going. I'm trying to keep the channel growth going. Being stuck at a boss for a very long time, in particular when I play this game very casually and honestly not that much. Like looking at my time played on the account, I have 29 days right now on SailingChunk. So that's not a lot in terms of Extreme One Chunk, man.
I won't tell you
And I've
how
been
many
playing
days I
since
have.
January. Oh, I know. I bet you have a lot. I mean, you've been playing that account for a couple of years now, right?
Year and a half ish.
Yeah. I remember when you started, and I was like, oh, he's gonna be here a while. So
Yeah, I
having a
played too
one chunk
much.
account of my own wasn't even a concept when you started.
Maybe you could make like a gear requirement to be able to hunt a pet like that too.
Yeah.
Like a rune crossbow or
My
something.
initial
Depends on where you are.
my initial thought would be to well, I actually could get a rune crossbow if I train my skills up high enough where I currently am. Spoiler, but yeah. But my initial thought on that would be go to the drop rate of the pet and then stop. And then like once I get an achievable gear upgrade or something like that, come back and maybe do like another 1,000 kills or whatever. Like an extra 1,000 kills per chunk just to keep the progress going a little bit.
I think like the one thing I was maybe thinking about doing that sort of thing for was the evil chicken outfit. So
Yeah.
freakishly
Yeah,
rare.
that's right.
But yeah, I was thinking, getting one piece is not bad, especially since you can get dupes like first piece easy. But I was thinking maybe each piece I could roll a chunk, but every chunk I rolled, I'd have to get the other two, and at least
Yeah.
it would probably give me like other grinds to work on the side too. Is obviously doing the same thing for what I think if I was gonna go straight for the evil chicken full outfit, probably take a minimum like 6 months. So
Right.
yeah, splitting that up might be something I consider doing. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you're thinking ahead, aren't you?
Oh yeah, quite a bit. I mean, it's not too far from me, but yeah, I know I'm gonna finish this chunk, so I'm thinking a
What's
little bit
your
ahead.
expected timeline?
By the end of the year, but more preferably, I'd like to do it before like 2 years of the chunk creation, which is December 8th.
Yeah.
So if I get
Okay.
it done before December 8th, that'll be like a goal I set near the beginning of the account completed. But
Yeah.
I think getting the Tebow was a big thing that made it really possible to do it in that
Right.
time frame. So
Yeah, I could imagine how that would just expedite everything.
I mean, just more points per raid in general is definitely helpful for getting purples. So yeah, now I'm kind
Yeah,
of
we talked about this
expecting.
before. You're probably going to be on rate for what, like 4 mega rares by the time that you finish um, the 2,000 cape.
I don't know mega rare specific drop rate, but I know the average to complete all purples is 78 purples, and I'll be
Okay.
like over 80 purples by the time I hit 2K
Well, yeah,
challenge
that's
mode.
close.
Yeah, and then the pet's 153, so hopefully I get that too. We'll see. We'll see.
What are you at purple wise now?
A little bit of a spoiler, but
Ooh,
let's look at the log right now. 17 purples right now, which is
oh wow,
yeah, a little bit lower. I mean, I've
ways to
been a
go
little
then.
bit dry too. Probably over double the rate for another purple since my last purple.
Got some of the best things to get right off the bat,
Yeah, and
and
my
well,
chances of
right off the
getting
bat in
unique.
terms of the long term.
Yeah, it, getting uniques is hard hard now with only 3 left to go. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
any purple could be the pet. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
right.
I don't care what I get for purple as long as it's with a pet. So,
Yep. The copium pet chance. I can see that in a lot of videos.
mhm. Gotta stay positive too. It's a fun grind though. I'm excited to keep going with it, and I'm still not
Yeah,
burnt out.
I'm
So
excited to live vicariously through you as someone who doesn't raid like in general. And I thought it was the most insane thing when you started your account because I think for the long term, like all these extreme one chunkers sort of came into view, and it was like everybody in the back of their minds was like, what if somebody did chambers? And then suddenly, here comes Agile Tom. That was the
yeah,
most insane thing. But yeah, I mean, I even have a lot of questions about that and like your motivation behind creating your account and how things have scaled since you've gotten so much of this gear, and like how do you compare on your levels versus, or at least your points versus some of the people who you have to raid with.
yeah. So I probably get like 5 to 8K more points with the twisted bow, which helps out a lot. My teammates are probably getting like 60K points per raid. They're getting a lot of points, and I'm getting like 25 to 35K points. That's kind of the difference, but obviously I've still sniped drops with those odds quite often.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean overall points, and it doesn't seem to matter too much. Like who has more points than another person. Like in the long run, it kind of scales with
Right.
how many points you have in total anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, I mean, for picking this chunk, my biggest motivation was Verve. He obviously chose a very difficult starting chunk, knew he's going to be there for a couple years, and then crushed it as he always does.
Yeah.
And I wanted a really difficult starting chunk as well, set me up for the future, and I think I took it a little bit further than him, even so. Yeah,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's an insane thought. Like, everybody looks at Limpwort as the guy who will not turn down a grind, and he is the one who's insane. I haven't really seen his like actual PvM skills besides his just amazing creation that he can do with stuff like Calfight Queen and
hmm
everything that he did there. And then Verf came onto the scene, and I was like, all right, well, this guy's going to be able to do some PvM magic, and he's shown himself to be, I'd say, on the same level of craziness as Limpwort with the PvM skills.
hmm
Not saying Limpwort doesn't have PvM skills. I just haven't seen it as far as like everybody's seen Verf do freaking Inferno in Karumja gear.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like those two are, at least in my opinion, like the guys who are really driving what it means to be extreme. And I have my 1 in 16 drop rate. Frey has his 1 in 16 drop rate. We'll pretty much always have that looming over us as our like limiters that set us apart. But we want to keep the channel content going. And as far as
yeah.
like you
That's perfectly
goes, I
fine.
mean, as soon as you bust out of chambers, I feel like you're going to be on the same level as Verf and Limpwort. I think like their growth in the extreme one chunk game mode didn't really happen until they moved out of their starting chunks, or at least like with Limpwort, till he moved out of the Calfight Queen chunk. Like that's when he really started to blow up, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. His first 3 videos, I think, were in the first chunk. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure, but yeah, I mean, he probably wanted to. I mean, there was a lot of hours in each one of those videos because I think he just wanted to put it
Yeah,
out.
a
It's
ton.
not like the most exciting chunk. For starting, you're just killing men and women for hundreds of hours and popping trees mostly.
Yeah, but his thumbnails are insane.
Yeah,
Like 230,000 men and women killed for 99 defense. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
yeah. You need a little bit of that like off factor too. I feel like
Yeah,
that's kind of what drove him to be really popular really quick.
yeah.
Uh,
And Verf did a lot of that with his with the Hill Giants.
yeah, the amount of hill giants he killed is absolutely insane. Yeah, I even
So
like. I think one of my videos like 55,000 trolls killed or
yeah,
something like that. But yeah, that doesn't really compare even though they are pretty high hit points. They have like 90 hit points, so 55,000, quite a lot of them. Yeah, I think like the real deciding factor, which will really see the difference in PvM skills, will be Inferno. Both Burf and
Yeah,
Limper are close to rolling that, and I
me
think
too.
Burf will have a lot of easier time. Yeah, yeah, you're right around that area too. I'm almost hoping that I get Inferno soon after this chunk, but I have a
Yeah,
T-bow,
that'd
so
be sick.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, could you do it without freezes, you think?
Yeah, there's also the Din's Bulwark spec is actually pretty
Oh yeah,
underrated
yeah.
for that too.
That's a good point.
I'd probably have to just wait for special attack a lot, but I've tried like the Rune Throwing Axe special attacks. They're pretty bad, not gonna lie. Even with like a Twisted
Mm,
Buckler and like, I'll probably have like Black Hide at least by the time I get there.
yeah.
Um, it's just not good. Takes a lot of special too, because every like monster that they bounce off of is like an additional 10% special attack. Is pretty unique to that weapon.
Mm,
But the Dins is straight 50 and is very accurate and can potentially one hit all of them in one shot and always takes 50% no matter how many you're attacking. So I think that's probably
yeah.
the better way to go is the Dins. The only problem with the Dins Bulwark is that it's heavy. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully stamina keeps up in the Inferno, but I think I'll probably just be hiding behind a lot of pillars and that'll just be the way it is. Yeah, I think I could go for the pet there. I think Verve was contemplating
That
if
was gonna
he'd
be
be
my
able to go
next
to the pet.
question.
Yeah. Yeah, but Verve was saying if you had to do every Inferno like the Karamja account, you wouldn't go for the pet because that would just be torture.
Yeah.
But maybe if you get some upgrades beforehand, he would. We'll see.
I think the most difficult thing for pretty much any chunk account is going to be the supplies and potions. I mean,
Yeah,
you're lucky enough to have the hunter level to be able to get like prayer potions from implings, but besides that, I mean, Inferno is not something that gives you supplies in the slightest, you know. So
yeah,
that's going to be difficult. It's like how much do you
very
want to
true.
dedicate? If you go through all your supplies, do you really want to dedicate more time going and getting more supplies just to come back for like a pet chance?
Yeah, yeah. Unlocking potions is another big thing. I want to unlock at least like the fourth Oath dungeon before I go in there. Then I can use grubby keys
Yeah,
to get like brews, restores, stuff like that. I'll probably
right.
need. If not, it'll definitely be pretty difficult. But I think if not, then I'll probably rely on those prayer pots from Implings. I probably will just bring like a few solid food in with me, but for the most part, um, probably try to start every wave at 99 by hiding behind the pillar. Hopefully with the regen bracelet too. 'Cause I think like a
Mm,
regen bracelet and like Fury won't be hard to get in the Inferno. Obviously, it
right.
has the Onyx there, and it has a furnace. I would just need like the molds, then I could
Yeah.
get those. So
Did you already get your Onyx drop from Tecton?
I haven't. No, I'll be going for that after the Elder Mall. It's I'm pretty sure you
Oh
can't
yeah.
get it in teams as an Ironman,
Hmm.
so it's
Yeah, it makes sense.
yeah, it's something I'd have to do solo. So yeah, I'll wait until I have Elder Mall, and then it should be pretty simple. I just have to do the kills and get it. I think it's like a 1 in 400 solo. I
Yikes.
shouldn't have to like scout for one if I do. I could either scout for a Tecton and have an easier Tecton kill, um,
Yeah.
or I can just do the challenge mode Tecton, which has higher defense, higher HP,
Yeah. Do
and
like Tecton in the first couple of rooms.
it's literally the first room every CM, so it'd be super easy. But yeah, if it's like the first couple rooms, like a normal raid, a little bit easier of a kill. So we'll see
Yeah.
what's worth if it's worth um, the scouting time or not.
Right.
Obviously, the community could help too, but we'll see when we get there. It could be a while, and I have no rush to get it. So
Yeah. You've got other things to worry about.
plenty of other things, but it's basically just raids and fletching right now. Everything else is like passive, so not much to worry about now.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Well, I wish you the best of luck on the rest of your purple hunting.
I appreciate that.
I
Yeah,
can
and I hope you
can't
get
imagine.
good rolls too. Are you like worried about herb lore? Is that something that I don't
Um,
know exactly what chunks you have now, and I mean you don't have to spoil anything, but
yeah.
what
No,
are
I
your thoughts
mean,
on that?
I think Extreme Gnome was the first in my well, at least from what I've seen, to say that farming is passive for him, and I've adopted that, of course. Nobody in the extreme area has unlocked Herblore, really. So no one's really figured this part out either. And I mean, Herblore is really a passive on any Ironman. I mean, let alone an extreme OneChunk account. And I'm thinking if I've already made farming passive, Herblore like innately would be passive, right?
Hmm.
And I hate like the idea of making more restrictions like this, but again, for the channel growth, which is important to keep up, and my sanity. If I got to that point, then I would say it would just follow in line with farming. It's like unfortunate as of a thought, but it's kind of my initial thoughts on it. And of course, I have both the passive farming and the 1 in 16 limiter like Frey.
Mhm.
So it's like I'm not going to be relying on drops as a constant source of herbal or XP. I mean, maybe the druids, what are the chaos druids in
Yeah,
Taverley Dungeon? They probably drop collectively something on the herb table less than one in 16. So like maybe that would count as a viable method.
I
So
think it would. Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
it's
I'm
still bad.
also
It's
very much
like low level stuff. So,
yeah,
yeah.
and I'm very much of the mindset like it's kind of useless to spend all this time gathering all these different resources if you don't use them to then drain the skill. So if I were to kill, say, I don't know, 3 million freaking chaos dwarves or chaos druids for the cleaning herbs to 99, like what's that do me? Now I have 3,000 or 300,000 guams or something like that for potions that I'm not even making them into.
Are you
I
definitely
have
going to
no
be able to use the
potions.
Guam's Sandfuse
Yeah, yeah,
stores
yeah.
there? So you got Isaac
Just
files.
that's just
Just
an
in general,
example.
yeah. Yeah, I mean there should be a few like secondaries that you can get pretty easily. You do have the farming patch, so eventually you'll
Yeah.
probably be able to do snake grass and limpworts.
Yeah, it's definitely a we'll have to see when we get
I'll have to
there
see when we get there.
scenario.
Gotcha. I mean, would you do like different potion milestones? Maybe you get there and you don't have many herblore supplies saved up. Maybe you could go until you make like a super attack or something as like a benchmark instead of going straight for 99, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely make some sort of benchmarks that are obtainable, and like, um, you also have to take into consideration getting the seeds before you even plant them. Yeah, I have a patch, but it doesn't do me any good if I don't have the access to the seeds or easy access to seeds.
Yeah, literally.
So that that's another factor. It's like you have to go through 3 steps in order to even get herbs to clean. But I'm a few chunks away from herblore. Thankfully, it's not
Mhm.
exactly on my mind. The other thing is like now you're talking it's herblore and draconic fishes at the same time. So it's there's other
A few
things to
things to
worry
work on,
about.
and smoldering stones and cavalry too.
Yes, I
But
forgot
yeah,
about
you could
that.
get
Thank you for reminding
cavalry.
me.
You get cavalry without unlocking. I mean, you probably will get cavalry just because of where you're positioned before
Yeah,
you
yeah,
unlock the herblore cape because you need like 2
yeah, because
chunks
you
for
can't go
that.
around.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus, you need the different kinds of meats to do the quest too. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
kind of seen that, but yeah,
yeah. I haven't looked into it, but I don't think I'm too close.
yeah.
Thankfully.
In most scenarios, like you'll probably stock up on enough supplies before you get there that it might not even be as big of a problem as you think it is. Just depends on what you roll.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is I found the 1 in 16 drop rate prevents a lot of the sort of like I'm gonna kill 500,000 of this monster or whatever in
Mm.
order to get this thing or get enough resources to do this one thing and complete this grind. because I haven't had to do any of that, and I haven't noticed any of that on Frey stuff either. It's just a bunch of skilling, which is fine if like that's the way that you want to run your account, but compared to like Limpwort coming out of the 99 defense grind, like that guy has like 80 herb lore already banked just from that, from how many herbs he got.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be a little bit different with the 1 in 16 limiter.
I might have like 90 herb lore banked by the time I leave the Chambers chunk.
Yeah.
I'm happy about. Yeah. There's like a lot of grinds that I've like thought that far in the future about just because of what I'll have available. Like crafting's no problem too because of all the gems I get.
Right.
And yeah, smithing supply stack.
Have you looked at your banked XP calculator for any of that stuff?
Yeah, I did have like a video on my second channel of just to go run through my bank.
Oh, the bank update.
Bank
XP. I haven't seen that yet.
I kind of want to keep it a secret for myself, just to surprise myself once I'm done with the CMs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So I've got like a benchmark of where I'm at, which I think I had like 54, 55 herb lore banked, maybe a bit more. I forget already, but yeah, I mean, I want to see what I'll be there, but my guess is like 90 I'll have banked, but obviously it doesn't include secondaries. But there's a good chance I'll unlock like a bush patch, allotment patch, flower patch, maybe some places to pick up certain items for secondaries before I get the herb lore chunk. So
yeah,
I think I'll be
hope
set.
You get what's that? I forgot the name of the boss, the spider that's in the Forthos dungeon. Yeah, I hope you get Sarachna so you can get the egg sacs.
Yeah. And I think just straight up making potions in the raid is like 20k an hour or something like that.
Oh wow!
So I could use that as like a backup if I need to as well. Same with farming.
How much research did you do ahead of time as far as like how viable it would be for a OneChunk account starting in Chambers?
Probably
or was
thought
it just
about
like,
it
it's a wild thought of completing the collection log on a OneChunk account?
I was probably thinking about all these different things for like the 2 weeks leading up to making the account. I just got myself so psyched for because things just kept lining up. They just kept like the pieces of the puzzle were just fitting together. Because at first I didn't think that I could train ranged, and then I saw someone's video and they were using the side chests from Maze Randoms to get like iron and bronze arrows, and that kind of fit that puzzle together. Then there were things about magic I wasn't sure about, but the implant catching makes up for that. So there's like a lot of things that fit together perfectly with this chunk, and some of those things were what are problems for normal chunk counts like smithing, herb lore, crafting, and that's like completely set. Construction,
where do I get supplies?
Where do I get supplies? It's sorted for me.
It's built in.
It's built in. Yeah,
the grind. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool, and especially like all the quality of life updates that they've made with Chambers. I don't know exactly how you feel about every single one of them, but
I've got I've got mods on speed dial to buff my account whenever I feel like it.
Nice. Yeah. Just like settled in the small fishing net.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I just tell them what to do and they do it. Make the raid easier. Make buff the items I'm gonna get. It's all good here.
Yeah. Now you just need a saw given to you.
No thanks, not yet.
No.
Yeah.
No. One day.
One day, maybe.
Get Ash on speed dial.
If I had if I did have construction unlocked right now, I'd have to get 99 with just the raid chests. So no, I don't want it yet. But
that's a good point.
If I could lamp there, I might be able to like lamp to like 30, I think is the first chest. It's lampable for sure, but you can't lamp anything. You can't lamp construction if you don't have a house, so that saves me from that. But I wouldn't want that, so I wouldn't put lamps on construction.
It's a really interesting thing because like this is going to be a similar concept to when sailing comes out. Like you have to unlock a house unless you go out of your way and like make the exception where you're going to unlock a house before getting the estate agent chunk or any estate agent chunk. you unlock a house and you immediately technically have a 99 mining grind or a 99 construction grind.
Yeah.
But, you also have to have a house portal that you can get to and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But
So
you unlock the house and that's the
house
cape.
portal. Yeah.
Yeah. And like sailing is going to be the same way. The person who's going to teach you how to sail, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the same person who has the cape. And like as soon as sailing comes out, if the 99 cape is in Port Sarim by the chunk rules or like extreme OneChunk rules, I'm probably going to need to get the cape. And if I don't have a bunch of water chunks unlocked, that means I'm going to be trimming sails. And like, that's not the content that I'd want to do or anybody wants to see for that matter.
Yeah, that might be considered a meme grind.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like you have to do that too often from what they've shown already. It seems like trimming the sails maybe like an every 2 minutes type of thing for like a minuscule amount of XP.
Yeah. And I mean that's no way to train the skill, So and a lot of big names have Port Sarim now. So I'm interested to see what they're gonna do when sailing comes out.
We'll see. I'm excited. I'm tempted to like go for one of the first 99s on my Ironman too when it comes out. I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. See. If you have any insider information, let me know.
I don't actually. That was another one of the motivations in, becoming SailingChunk. Like if I were to get to that level where Jagex himself would reach out and be like, hey, we want to collab with you or something like that, like that'd be cool. I did join the sailing Discord and change my name in there to like BrewScape in parentheses SailingChunk or whatever. And I was like, all right, when can I get the insider knowledge? And a bunch of other people who knew me like upvoted my question, but it has not been responded to just yet. So I don't know. Maybe they're waiting. My hope is that they're just waiting for my content to continue to grow. And then they're like, they'll call me.
It still seems like it's in very early development still. So
yeah. No, they've got me on the backlog. Don't worry.
I feel like it might not even come out till like late next year from what I've seen.
I know. I mean, they were saying like late 2024, and I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
100% there's no way now.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like even it coming out early next year seems out the question. Summer next year, maybe they could do that, but I feel like it's going to be late here.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's in a hurry.
No,
it also
I want
seems
them to
like
get it right.
A passion project.
I want them to get it right.
Yeah, I like the idea of releasing it in stages, like they had talked about, where you get all this content at first, and then they'd add like the potential for some extra training methods and all that stuff later, and then like a sailing based raid, all that sort of stuff would be great.
Oh yeah,
but it'd be best if they just get it right for sure. And speaking as someone who apparently is going to have to get a 99 sailing cape right when it gets released, I want the content to be engaging.
Yeah, they need to get it right. It needs to be engaging. Needs to have good rewards. Needs to have good places to explore, for sure. And yeah, that there needs to be a lot when it first comes out. But yeah, obviously, like they can add more as it goes along. There's a few bigger projects that could use their own release date, I'm sure, especially if there's like a new raid.
The thing that I said earlier about an interesting thing related to Ironman mode in general, I actually, probably like most people, used to play Old School Runescape private servers back in the day. And I actually used to own one that I had going. And long before Ironman came out as a concept, I don't want to say that I created the game mode, but I basically created the game mode inside of my private server where like you couldn't trade or anything, or my game mode included like you couldn't even use shops. You had to find everything either on the ground or like kill monsters for it and everything. And it was like a interesting concept that I had thought about from the beginning, because it's like, oh, all these other things just make it so easy. What if I just removed all that? And you have to get everything yourself.
Yeah.
And I have a few friends who could vouch for that. But just that was an interesting thing that I like to share. It's like was maybe the originator of this slide.
It's pretty cool. Maybe some people played it and
Yeah, no, I
maybe they
doubt
had
I
some
had any influence
ideas for it.
anywhere, but
Well, maybe. Who
it was a
knows?
very small private server, so I doubt it. Um, but yeah, I was super happy when Iron Man mode came out because I was like, damn, it's like what I want. I
Yeah.
don't care about the economy. I just I don't want to make money for buying gear upgrades. I want to like get them myself. I say this as like someone who can't PvM, so it's a really interesting thing that I thought of there. But um,
Yeah. There was a friend of
yeah,
mine who I always thought about like before Iron Man came out. He was always like he wouldn't buy things from the GE very often, or he wouldn't trade, or he tried to like get his skills up based on like what he got from PvM and stuff. Um, I thought he would be like perfect for him. He also likes to like pick up other people's drops from like Slayer and stuff if they weren't
mm,
picking it up. Um,
yeah,
like the little
that's
things,
funny.
and I used to laugh at him for it. You're picking up like these little pieces of coins that they're dropping. Like hell yeah, yeah, it adds up. It's something that I feel like could have always been in the game. Honestly, a lot of
Yeah,
people played like that before it came out.
yeah. I mean,
Diamonds,
whether a
right?
fault to their own self because they didn't know that they should do all that sort of stuff, or it's just how they preferred to play. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, back pre GE when you had to sell stuff to people, I kind of hated that, to be honest. I was always impatient. Like I felt like I was wasting time if I was just staying around. Dollar Park or Varrock, like trading stuff, trying to get like a little
Yep.
bit extra money off it. Like, well, I could be making more money doing something else at the same time.
Yeah.
But,
Varrock West Bank Gang.
yeah, yeah, that's usually where I chose to sell stuff to. Yeah, for the most
I
part,
guess
I
for
tried
one
to use what
more
I had.
I guess for one more topic of discussion, I know you usually ask what people do for a living.
Yeah, yeah, I'm interested.
I'm a senior front end software engineer at a company, and I know you talked with Frey about it. It seemed like you talk with a lot of people who have like pretty decent careers, and yeah, I would agree with what you talked about in that video. That Old School Runescape was like a big contributor to, I guess, maybe success, I guess, or what you would consider like a good understanding of at least financial stuff. Maybe I don't know. I have a lot
Yeah,
of like mathematical teachings that I recall as a kid, like trying to figure out best, even like trying to optimize some XP rates or looking at like how many trips it was going to take with 28
yeah.
inventory slots and
Even just
all that
like
sort of stuff.
a want to make money, I think,
Yeah,
stems from RuneScape. We're always like as kids and stuff. At least we're always trying to, you know, make profit and
yeah,
stuff like that. Trade other people and maybe haggle a little bit. Like learn
right.
these things that like kids, like a lot of kids probably didn't know. So
Yeah.
it
I had
is
a lot
good.
of 28 based math, just figuring out inventory setups and like multiplication and division and everything related to money and like how much money I would need to in order to fund like 50 trips of this particular thing because it would amount in this much XP and get me this
Yeah,
level and whatever. So like yeah, a lot of intricate stuff there. And yeah, this game definitely taught me a good bit about like upkeeping money and um, different stuff like that. So
yeah. I
I'm
found an
thankful for
old
it.
notebook of mine not too long ago that had like a lot
Oh,
of
nice.
calculations and stuff from
Yeah,
like
I know I
finding the
have some of
money.
those, or had at least in the past. Pretty sure they're just all gone, but that's a great thing to find.
Yeah, lots of nostalgia comes back looking at stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm a software engineer first, and like UX UI design sort of second. I have two different bachelor's degrees that sort of combine those as a sort of a niche concept, and yeah, I enjoy what I do. I work very closely with like the rest of the engineers on my team and like connect different requirements from the design team to their language, because sometimes engineers are like not the best at communicating. I'm
Hmm.
actually one of them, but I know like design language really well, so I can be a good middleman sometimes. Yeah, it helps. I kind of put all the skill sets together and bring the passion of video game playing, particularly with Old School Runescape, and can do what I can, make what I can.
Yeah. You work from home?
Yeah, thankfully.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people
Yeah,
do
pretty
these
much ever
days.
since COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of the state of everything now.
I admit I haven't seen every one of your other chunk chats. Have you ever said what you do? Or do you just do like content creation,
I'm
YouTube, streaming stuff?
full time content creation right now. I always worked like jobs at restaurants, hotels, things like that, hourly jobs. So
Gotcha.
nothing crazy. I went to school for business, but I like just general business. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and decided I was wasting a lot of time with that.
Mm,
And I could make a lot per hour working in restaurants, hotels, and stuff with tips and whatnot. Um, but yeah, I always felt like I needed something else to do because the stuff all also gets draining and it's
yeah,
not very fulfilling work. So I'm happy to be
definitely.
doing this full time now. Before we end, is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Any smaller creator, bigger creator that inspired you? Just friends that play the game. Any shout outs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody knows the OGs. Um, Earth, Limport. I'm a big fan of Frey. Everybody knows him now too. Um, I'm a big follower of Wild Mudkip. I think his stuff is amazing. I've recently started watching Mikaru RS,
Yeah.
who started a OneChunk account. Who's actually a big creator, and he just started OneChunk account. Um, Sir Camelock is his stuff. It's really good content.
Oh yeah, definitely good.
I think he's going to be up there in terms of equal level with like Verf and Lipwort and yourself. And then for smaller creators, I'd say Lazy Llama Chunk. He's has a pretty good series going, and one that I just started watching, who he just started posting like yesterday, would be um, his name's Salty, or no, you might want to edit this part. His name's Stanky RS, and he
Thanks.
has a Extreme One Chunk that's starting in Ralos Rise, I think it's called.
Hmm,
But yeah, he just started. I think I was like his 10th subscriber or something like that, and he seems to have pretty good promise. So big
that's
shout
good.
out to
Yeah.
him.
I always like finding new chunkers, especially ones that I think will take it far.
Oh,
Yeah.
I also should mention Crack with a K.
Oh yeah.
His stuff is so pure and wholesome. I love it.
It's always nice to see as well. I will tag any socials that you'd like in the description so people can take a look at that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
thanks
much just my
for
YouTube.
talking. Just YouTube
Yeah,
or
yeah,
have
just
you
my YouTube.
streamed at all? Or you said you streamed your other account, right?
Um, yeah, I streamed on Twitch a little bit back in the day. I actually like changed the name to BrewScape on there, so I'm on Twitch. I have a Kick. I don't know if I'm actually going to ever stream on Kick because there's like some moral stuff going on there. But all the streams that I've done for like my chunk rolls, I've just done on my YouTube channel. So if you follow on my YouTube, you'll pretty much have everything that you need to know
Nice.
and need to follow. If I do switch over to Twitch at some point, you'll know from there. So just subscribe to the YouTube channel and you'll get all the updates then.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good, man. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you hanging out and talking for so long.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great chat.
All right. Anyone watching who'd like to like, comment, subscribe to the second channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
See ya.